This is a country on a path to war. That is, one day we're going to wake up and they're going to say, this belongs to us, now what are you going to do about it? Putin and Xi have built this military alliance and this economic alliance, and there's no getting around it anymore. And so people who say, well, what's it any of our business? These are morons. History will write that they're morons. The fact is that these countries are on the move. And China is not acting alone. China is building alliances in our hemisphere. China is building alliances in Africa, in the Middle East. It's building alliances even in parts of Europe. So this is not something that can be ignored. And this is a country on a path to war. That is, one day we're going to wake up and they're going to say, this belongs to us, now what are you going to do about it? And the report here is that he's telling his military, be ready to take Taiwan by 2027. He figures in 4 full years, he'll be ready to take Taiwan, and there's not a damn thing the United States is going to be able to do about it. It's easy for Biden to say, well, you know, of course we're going to stop them, but for all we know, he won't be president anymore. And so you can't bet on that. You got to bet on today, and you got to deal with what you have today. So see how the Russians and the Chinese residents are reacting differently to this alliance between Putin and Xi. Go.
Russia's Vladimir Putin rolling out the red carpet for his, quote, dear friend, Chinese leader Xi Jinping, greeting each other for their second day of meetings in Moscow. Despite skepticism from the West that the visit is more about supporting Russia and furthering Beijing's own self-interests, Putin and Xi signing an economic deal, deepening their partnership, and calling for an end to actions that increase tensions in the prolonged war in Ukraine.
Of course, we did not ignore the situation around Ukraine. We believe that many of the points on the peace plan put forward by China are consistent with Russian approaches and can be taken as the basis of a peaceful settlement.
Now you can stop us saying Ukraine has said this thing is so one-sided on Russia's behalf. It's ridiculous. This was a cover for these guys to meet and to spend 95% of their time talking about us and how they were going to build strategic alliances. Why do they do it in person? Because they don't trust our intelligence agencies. That is, that they could pick up the information, and so they meet in person. Go ahead.
When the West and Kyiv are ready for it. But this readiness is not observed on their side.
Since the war began, Russia has become far more dependent on China. China has been propping up Russia's economy amid Western sanctions by purchasing its energy, replacing Western suppliers in electronics, cars, and aircraft, and providing an alternative to the U.S. dollar. Xi is inviting Putin to China this year and told Putin they share similar goals. Putin says Russia has closely studied Beijing's peace proposal for Ukraine, a plan that Washington says would solidify Russia's grip on occupied land.
China would not want to see Putin fail. It would set a terrible example for the Chinese system.
China and Russia have a complicated history, but their shared adversarial relationship with Washington is driving them closer.
This is a marriage of convenience, not of affection.
In Russia, there's some cynicism about Beijing's motives. On a Russian state TV talk show, this military pundit said, China can have only one ally, China itself. China can only have one set of interests, pro-Chinese ones. Chinese foreign policy is utterly devoid of altruism.
Well, that so-called expert will last about 3 days, and then he'll suddenly decide to jump out of the 28th floor of some building. Go ahead.
But Chinese state media is in overdrive, touting the benefits of the Russia-China relationship. And it's all positive comments on China's heavily censored social media. This one says, cooperation and win-win. The next one says, long live China-Russia friendship. Disagreements, if any, are censored. By meeting with Putin, Xi wants to highlight his role as a global statesman that can offer an alternative to the current world order.
But Jake, the real tangible outcome of this meeting is Beijing strengthening ties with Russia in ways that benefits itself. These economic agreements they've signed, it's likely going to increase Russia's reliance on China. Now, China's policy is a bit contradictory, but it really boils down to supporting Putin while publicly declaring neutrality, but also paying no price. That's why the experts I speak to say it's unlikely that China would provide the kind of lethal aid to Russia that would trigger secondary sanctions.
All right. Yeah. It's very unlikely, don't you know?
Want to see more Mark Levin? Go to levintv.com and subscribe now.